Shifting focus then, Kedara Capital's MD Manish Kejriwal says India remains a key investment destination despite risks of falling behind amid global AI adoption. EBITDA growth is something they focus on while investing in firms with preference towards finance, consumer, healthcare and technology. Listen in to a slice of that conversation.
You see the countries where AI is focused, whether it's the US, whether it's Korea, whether it's Japan, whether it's Taiwan, a massive uplift, and countries like India are left behind on that front. Having said that, if you look at both the secular growth story and what India has to offer, it will always remain a strong magnet for investments. Either people need to diversify their bets. People don't have growth rates of 7 or 8% anywhere in the world. But what happens in situations like this is the capital allocation becomes a lot more to haves and have-nots. So it gets consolidated. People then deploy capital behind fewer managers. People are more focused on performance, and hence the easy money stops flowing. But the core money, which is always there, will come to India, but it'll come to a fewer number of managers who will gather larger and larger percentages of capital raised.
Right. How is Kedara perceiving this? How are you going to rejig your capital allocation?
You know, our life doesn't change at all. For private equity, it's relatively straightforward. You raise a fund, which luckily, whenever we've raised money, the demand has been more than what we can supply, so we're always over-allocated. And in that situation, the last fund we raised was $1.8 billion, which we finished in 3.5 months, which is the fastest ever for a fundraise in India. But the equally hard part is deploying that money and then taking money out. So you raise the money, you deploy it and take it out. In terms of deployment, our focus has always been really one which has been very involved in. So whether we do a controlled transaction like a Vishal or an Avas, or we do a minority investments like a Lenskart or Manyavar, where we have less than a 50% stake, what we do doesn't change a whole lot. We have very strong operating partners where we had a lot of value and are focused on the EBITDA growth in the company. The multiples might go up and down, but our focus is on EBITDA growth. You then have to be careful you don't overpay for an asset in exuberant times like last year. So at a macro level in 25, when valuations were very high, we stopped or we decreased the rate of new deployment, but rapidly increased the divestment or DPI. We got more than $1.7 billion out from our investments by selling in the public markets to other strategics or to other private equity firms. For us, the focus has always been financial services and consumer, and healthcare and tech services. We don't do stuff or distract us on stuff we don't know, whether it's infrastructure. There's been a whole boom in AI. How do you play that? We apply that very critically to our portfolio and investments. But do we want to compete with the Googles of the world by making investments in data centers? That's not our game.
How do you see the AI landscape in India? You find it very nascent, and will it be some time before it takes shape of becoming an investable asset?
No, absolutely not. I think we're using AI. I think AI for India at the very macro level.
For India, yeah.
At a macro level, I think will be a challenge. Yeah. I do think the job losses will happen. I think, unfortunately, you can't avoid that, especially in our tech services industry. I'm not one. I mean, Jensen Huang recently talked about how it's going to create jobs. It will eventually create jobs, but in the short term, there will be pain at the macro level. But at the micro level, there are huge advantages if you are an early adopter. The way we are using AI in our portfolio companies is really changing the game in many of these companies vis-a-vis the competition. So if you take what could be a threat as an opportunity and do it early to your portfolio companies, there is significant upside. But we'll be very careful on how we deploy capital in new investments, which is regarded as a pure play AI. We definitely won't do it in capex heavy sectors like data centers and the like, where the Googles and the Amazons of the world or the Adanis and the Ambanis are playing.